Hello all, thank you for joining my video. This is the seventh video of software testing tutorials, and I have kept this as a playlist. And if you have not seen, come to my channel How to End Tutorials and click on Software Testing Tutorials playlist, and you will find all my videos. I have also created other tutorials: CSS tutorial, JavaScript, MySQL, HTML, PHP, Python, and Golang. If you are interested, you can watch those videos also for your understanding. As a software tester, it is better to have knowledge on CSS, JavaScript, HTML for you to test the web applications. So I have created internship opportunity for various roles, particularly those who are watching this video, you may be interested in manual testing. I have created an internship opportunity for you, and it is for a month, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and 1 year. And first year I'm giving an offer. It will be free. Usually it will be 1500 for 1 month internship, but I am giving an offer, and this is for a limited period. If you are interested, you can connect me. Send me a mail at submit@mysys.com or in LinkedIn VMR, and connect to me, and then direct message to during in the message box. So once you complete the internship, I will give internship certificate from MySys IT Services Private Limited, OPT Private Limited, and you will get the opportunity to work on test cases in adrev.com, software.com, couponsnagar.com, couponsnagar.in, netchess.biz, netchess netrami.biz, etc. And also in softwarerevu.com, where you will get an opportunity to test a list of softwares, and you will get an opportunity to be listed as a reviewer, and you will also get an opportunity to be listed in this particular software as a reviewer with the citation with your name, so which will actually give you a reference for you to claim the intern certificate to other organizations while you are submitting for the manual tester job openings. So coming back, so I have created, as I mentioned, right, I have created 6 videos with all those concepts, testing concepts, and I am referring javapoint.com as a software testing reference. And then if you are interested, you can come back to this site and then go through this testing tutorial. It is very elaborate, and then it will give you the similar kind of testing knowledge what you get in the training, paid trainings. Okay, so you can actually watch my videos and then come back to this site and then walk through all these concepts which are mentioned, and then do some internship so that you will get a good hold of the testing. So basically we have covered all those as part of our testing. We write the documents, various documents, and they are part of during the requirements coding, and develop testing, right. So we will write test case documents, and then we will actually take it forward to the during the FT, that is function testing, integration testing, system testing, and then also customer will write the user acceptance test cases, and then take it to the production. Okay, so what are the types of test cases? Test cases are test scenarios, test cases, then test plan, requirements traceability matrix, test strategy, test data, bug report, and the test execution report. Okay, all these things we will discuss. What are those things, right? So in test scenarios, what is a test scenario? For example, you want to test login, right? It is one test scenario. So you will have a login. You will actually click on login.html, and then a window will open, and then you will enter user ID password, and a lot of validations will happen at the user ID password in the browser itself, and then you will submit that request, and then it will go through that as a post data, and then that particular data will flow from the browser to the server, and through the secured mode, and password will be encrypted, and then it will go to the server, and then in the server side, it will actually compare, actually it will decrypt the password, and then it will actually check username and password, which is actually stored in the database, which should be, all needs to be done. This is one scenario which needs to return back either with the password successful or authentication failed, right? So this is one scenario I'm giving, but such scenarios will be there in a product. So this is the document which we are going to write it here. Keep it in a test document, what is the scenarios, and then this will become a base document to test all the test cases for that particular authentication. For example, if you are entering a valid password, whether it is actually encrypted or not, when you are when you are sending the post message, are you able to pass that post that and also the web service which you are passing, is it actually taking the proper data? These are all test cases where you will actually have to write down, okay? And whether the password is meeting the standards which is defined by your password criteria, right? All those things are test cases which will come out of this test scenario, one test scenario. So like that, it will be many test scenarios which you need to actually document before you start writing the test cases. So in this test cases, what I told, right? For example, you were whether the password is actually accepting the weak password or strong password, whether a password, when you enter a particular password, whether it is able to display a weak password message or not. These are all the test cases you need to write down, and then make it. So user may not say all these things. Sometimes there are some implicit test cases you have to write, and also the explicit test cases you have to write, and you have to maintain these test cases, okay, with the boundary cases, with the pass criteria, with the lower boundary cases and then upper boundary cases. For example, a password field accepts 16 characters, for example, then you should be able to enter in 20 characters, and you have to verify whether it is giving a error message or not, okay? For example, it has to accept one uppercase letter in the password, and if you all enter all lowercase letters, and you should throw an error, right? Otherwise test case failed, okay? Like that, you have to write down all the test cases. So how test cases will be, I will actually give one example of test case document. I will actually use open office because I use open source software. So let me open, and then I will tell you what is the test case, and how one test case document will represent. So it will have all the test cases and sequence of test cases for that particular you know so for example, I will give you, okay, serial number, okay. Let us actually make it a table, right? Okay, let us make it table, okay. So this is the then test case description, you can say test case description, right? And then we can have input criteria, okay. Then that is input criteria, that means conditions, what are the conditions which it needs to work. Then test data, what are the you can actually test, for example, password test ABC at the rate 123, is it a strong password or weak password, like that, okay. You actually test it with some test data which actually can be. Then output expected outcome, right? Or expected behavior. You can say expected outcome or behavior. Okay. Then okay, status, whether passed or failed, right? And then remarks. If you have any comments, so you always needs to how did you test this, and then okay, this test criteria, are there any parameters you want to, are there any information you want to consider before doing the testing, right? So like this you need to add. Of course there are if you see in the Bugzilla or Jira, lot of these input fields will be defined, many other criteria will be added based on your project requirement, but these are the basic things where a test case document, and you have to write down with the ID, serial number or ID, okay, or ID. You can give an ID, and then you will always reference that. In the Jira, the ID of a particular defect will be for the test cases also will be, you will create all those test cases in the Jira also, so that for your tracking purpose, right? And then also defecting. Okay, Jira is a kind of issue tracker, defect tracker, test case creation. You can make it that as a proper project management tool, and it is a paid one. But you have to pay the license to get the software. Similarly, Bugzilla is not a paid one; it is a freeware. You can use that for this bug tracking. So now let us actually see that what is the test plan. So test plan document contains it needs to be prepared by the test lead or a project manager of that particular testing project. Okay, it consists of all the testing activities, which is actually contains, for example, what is the objective, what is the scope, what is the approach, what is the environment, what are the testing methodologies we are using, are there any templates, are there any roles and responsibilities, effort estimation, entry and exit criteria, schedule, tools, defect tracking, test deliverables, assumptions, risks and mitigation plan, and contingency plan. All these, like a test project management plan will be created in the test plan. So traceability metrics is the when requirements are created, each requirement will have one ID. So when the design document is created, each section, there will be a traceability matrix created, and each section should be mapped to the respective requirement specification, so that that particular requirement is tested. Similarly, when we actually move on to the next phases, when coding and unit testing is done, then that requirement specification document, that particular file is actually mapped to the requirement, in that file, code file to the design document to the traceability, right, requirement specification. Similarly, when it comes to the particular test case design, test scenario as well as a test case documents should have the traceability back to the coding to the design to the testing. Okay, the sorry requirement specification. Similarly, each bug should have the traceability till the requirements. Okay, so that is the document which we need to maintain it properly towards till the user acceptance testing. Okay, so the test strategy will be again it will be prepared by the project manager, used to verify the test types. Okay, how to be executed a product, and also discuss what kind of techniques has to be used, and which modules is going to be tested. Test strategy, I mean, either you want to start with the UI, you want to start with the server side, you want to actually do that in the queue environment, or you want to do that in a pre-queue environment, to actually, or you want to actually go in parallel, so with the testing team and development team. So all these things are decided and agreed with the project manager will get in agreement with the uh, you know uh, with the customer, what type of documents are done, what is the scope, how do we communication, how do you do it. So all this is a strategy what you need to do. Okay, test data, it is data that occurs before the test execute. As I mentioned in this Excel sheet, right? When you are preparing that, okay, for each testing you need to have a data, okay, right? So to test this, test case. So the test data can be used to check the expected result, which means that when the test data is entered, the expected outcome will meet the actual result, and also check the application performance by entering in a correct input. Then bug report. So bug report, usually, okay, this is a test case, right? Okay, then let us actually create a bug report. Okay, it is sample. Usually it will be there in a uh, it will be there in Bugzilla, so you can use that one. But let us actually see that what is this. So ID number. Usually it will be with the project and then scenario, all those things will actually lead to this ID, okay, and then test case ID. So this is reference to the test case document which is actually in the previous one, okay, and then okay, test scenario. It can be either test case description or what are the steps you are planning to do, okay. For example, log in to the window, okay, whatever you have done, how you have done, okay, and then enter, like that, enter the password with data, test data, like that you enter, okay, all these steps what you have done. Then okay, uh, status failed, okay, status failed, or you actually mention all these test case id and references. Test case id you can mention multiple things also if you are actually feeling, or you can also actually you say that here status failed, and then step 1, okay, to step 2, how did you reproduce this, 3, step 3, to reproduce this, okay. So like this you can also add, or you can make it a Bugzilla report. All these things are created for bug report, uh, you know so, and then remarks also you can give, right. So this, as we discussed, right, these are the formats which are discussed during the strategy and test plan and strategy. These are identified and kept as the base documents, okay. So test execution report is what we actually, when we actually complete the testing, and then we actually either this individualized or only test case document, and then status report we can actually say what are the status of that particular document, which actually gives that test summary. You can actually write down on the criteria in this particular scenario we got this many reports, like that some reports can be generated for and then usually all these things comes from Jira and Bugzilla easily. But if you are maintaining in the Excel sheet, so you need to maintain that documents and then prepare that. So benefits of using the documentation, right? This will actually give a clarification, clarifies the quality of methods and objectives. So it ensures that internal coordination within the customer using software application. It ensures clarify about the stability of tasks and performance. It provides feedback on preventive tasks. It provides feedback to for your planned cycles. It creates objective evidence for the performance of the key management system. If we write the test document, we cannot forget the values which we put in the first phase. It also a time saving process because we can easily refer to the text document. Of course, you can actually see all those test cases, but this is the basic concept of test case documents in preparation. The drawbacks of test document is it is a bit tedious, manual work, right? You have to maintain modification, provide all those things. Test case document is not proper; it will replicate the quality of the application. Sometimes it is written by that person who does not have the product knowledge. Of course, sometimes the cost of the document will exceed its value, right? I mean, these are all disadvantages. So now what we can do is, in this the next chapter is a test scenario. We already discussed about the test scenario, right? Test case document, test scenario, and then we have created test case 1, test case 2, test case 3, right? So whatever we discussed, all those things are captured, and then examples of we have actually discussed about this login also, right? One scenario, okay, compose module, and for a test scenario, okay. So we already discussed this during our so test case also we created test scenarios, and then the outcome is a test case what we have actually discussed, right? The test case document what we discussed here like this, okay, come back, and then better coverage, okay, all these test cases you can do. And this is the template what you have see: name, case, requirement number, module, severity, I think severity we missed that one. You can add a critical, you know a priority A, that is very important, in the bug report. It is better actually we create that in the bug report, right, as a uh, criticality, okay. It is high, low, medium, right? High, medium, low, like that you can actually create. And then version, precondition, right, test data, like this you can actually add it. And then make this as the criticality, right? So I actually prepared one, okay. So you just come here and then prepare all those test case documents. So we have already seen this, right? A system study, identify all the possible test scenarios, write test cases by applying test case design techniques, review test cases given to you for reviewing, fix the review comments, and then test case approval, store it. So for every document, definitely it has to be reviewed by a peer review and ensure that those test cases are reviewed and approved. Okay, so that is the uh, test case documentation, and how do you want to create the test case document. Hope you are following. um, you can actually come back to the Java point and then reference it multiple times, so that you will get the concept of testing. So test case development we have seen, okay. So we we have actually seen that. Let us go into, you see, these are the techniques. We already discussed boundary value analysis and equivalence, portioning and error guessing we had earlier. And test plan, test case review process, requirements traceability, we also discussed that briefly. So let us actually discuss the defect tracking. How do we actually do that? And we will conclude uh, our tutorial, right. This is the brief tutorial, so we don't want to get into, of course, this has given a comprehensive understanding of your software testing for manual testing. So if you want any further topics, you just let me know, so that I can actually prepare another session, or we can have a live session to explain it about the software testing. So in this chapter, let us understand what is the bug and defect. The bug is the informal name of the defects, which means that software or application is not working as per the expectation or as per the requirements. It is not working as per the requirement. That's it. Okay? Just buy out this. Bug is an informal name for defect, or defect is as okay, which means that software application is not working as per the requirement. Okay. So while testing the application, executing the test cases, the test case engineer may not get the expected result as per the requirement, and the bug had various names in different companies such as error, issue, problem, fault, mistake, whichever talk about, that is actually not working as per the requirement. So defect, bug, error, issue, mistake, or failure. So when the application is not working as per the requirement, okay, that is a defect. That is referenced by test engineer. Or bug also is an informal way of representing a defect, that is also raised by test engineer. And error, problem in code leads to the errors. So these are actually raised by developer or automation test engineers. Issues, when the application is not meeting the business requirement, so customer will actually raise the issues. And mistake, problem in the document is known as a mistake. And failure, lots of defects lead to the failure of the software. Okay, so it is a combined failure of a particular product, right? Mistake which is actually not documented properly is a mistake. Issue means from the customer point of view, it is not meeting the requirement. Okay. So error will be raised by the developers, and bug is a synonym of defect. And defect, when an application is not working as per the requirement, that is actually called a defect. Okay. So what is a defect or bug? So it is because of the wrong coding or missing coding or extra coding. We need to actually code as per the requirement. So for example, if we take the Gmail application and we click on inbox link and it navigates to a draft page, this is happening because of the wrong coding which is done by developer. So that's why it is a bug. Missing requirement means, missing coding means the developer may not have developed the code only for that particular feature. Okay. For example, if you want to send that a mail and if that send is not there, then that is a missing. Of course, it would not go, but sometimes extra coding is, we actually expect only as per the requirement specification. But if we add, unnecessary features which are not expected by, the requirement specification, as per the requirement specification, that is called extra coding. So it should not be, write any extra coding. For example, first name, last name. If you add middle name, who has asked? It is not as per the requirement specification document, right? So you should not, over smart and then write. So you have to, write as per the requirement specification, and then you also have to test as per the requirement specification document. You should not actually pass this test case because somebody has added smartly a middle name. Okay, you should raise a defect. And the bug tracking tool, we have already discussed the bug tracking tool such as um, Jira, Bugzilla, Redmine, Mantis, and Backlog. Okay, Jira is one of the important tracking tool which you can actually use it right to log the defects. It also can be used for issue tracking and project management. Similarly, Bugzilla is open source. You can install in our local setup and then raise practice yourself as a some of the I will also create one video and install and then showcase you how the Bugzilla can be configured. Okay, and then Redmine and all. I think you can see all these. These are meant for bug tracking purpose. Okay, so that is about um bug tracking. So let us actually check what is the bug life cycle. Okay, so we will actually go through that. So every project will have a state, right? Sorry, every defect will have a state. Okay, so these the states are defined in the Jira or Bugzilla or whatever the Excel document you have, right? So the states of each defect or bug can be, first it will be new, and then it can be opened by the developer, and then it is assigned, and then developer will verify, and then fixed, and then it will actually go for a retest, or then as a tester you can retest and then close it, or you can reopen. See, there are other test cases also. In assigned state, once it is actually assigned to the developer, you can actually say that it is a duplicate, or it is not an issue, or it is it is a on hold. So there are other states also which can be kept as part of the bug life cycle. Okay, so but practically these are actually the cases where we already discussed, the developers, and when they will actually do all those test cases. So invalid, as we said, right? Invalid, rejected, duplicate, postponed, deferred, cannot fix, not reproducible, or a request for enhancements. This is a change request, right? So new, then assigned, then it go to duplicate, it can go to invalid, it can go to can't fix, or deferred, not reproducible, or fixed. Fixed, it goes to the developer, and then request for enhancement, that RFE it will go to for this change request. Otherwise, it will either go to the retest, and then tester will actually either reopen and then back to the assigned. Okay, or it will actually go to the tester actually can reject. So as the names depicts either invalid or rejected, the developer can actually do that one, new, assigned, and then invalid, right? And then you can actually again as a tester you can reopen, and then you can actually assign back to that, because the developer would have thought about different, and then marked it as a reopened. Okay, so so duplicate, already you have created one defect, and then another tester also created a similar defect, then you can actually as a developer can mark it as a duplicate, and then can be tracked for the closure. Okay, similarly, not reproducible. Okay, for example, developer has raised, okay, one defect, but it is not reproducible in the user environment. Okay, then it is the responsibility of the tester to ensure that whatever the reproducibility, which are actually steps to reproduce, and environment, and all those things needs to be given, then only user developer will accept that that is a defect. Otherwise you will actually say that it is not. Okay, so developer environment will be different, and test environment will be different, right? So usually it should be the same, and then so that the test cases are valid, right? Otherwise you will get, and then unnecessary mismatch, unnecessary things will happen. Okay, sometimes data mismatch also there, right? For example, whatever you are testing is limited, and then when it goes to the test, they will have a vast number of data they would have prepared, and then they would have tested, and then that would actually test into that particular test scenario also. So then cannot fix. Okay, for example, no technology support to buggies of core code, and those server side, if there are any in the, for example in the cloud, and it is in the cloud itself, and cost of fixing is also is more than, you cannot actually say that, you can also say that it cannot be fixed. Then deferred postpone is the status in which bugs are postponed in the future release due to time constraints. Okay, so it is backed, and then we can actually postpone it, right? uh, the request for enhancements, this is actually when we are doing the testing, right, we find that some of the additional features are required. Okay, or you observe that that may be needed, and you are giving the recommendation, and then it can be actually added it as a RFE, and then customer, it will be taken it to the customer, and then it might be implemented in the next release or in future enhancements. Or customer, those may come as part of a new project development. Okay, so project bug report template, as we discussed, right? I mean, I given the limited, fields, but there may be a vast fields which are mentioned here: bug ID, module, requirements, test case name, release, version, status, reporter, date assigned to, okay, and then whom we are seeing, severity, priority, server, platform, build number, test data, attachment, brief description, navigation steps, observation, expected result, and actual result. Okay, and additional comments. So you can add all these, as part of your Excel sheet, and then understand, all those. Okay. So drawbacks of manual bug report is it is a time consuming. Human error will be possible. No security, and it is a tedious process, and it is not centralized, so that there is a chance that we may get duplicate duplicate test case documents or test report. Okay, so that is about the tester. You come back here and then go through this for you to understand. This is very important topic, and then a lot of interview questions will come from this particular topic only. So you need to understand the life cycle, and then you need to understand what are the fields in that particular Excel sheet, and then each Excel sheet, what are this, and what is the severity, what is the priority. Okay, and what is the test case description, what is the expected outcome, and then prepare some test cases on your own for you to get practice. Okay, so severity and priority in testing is what we discussed. Okay, right, let us discuss on those things in detail. So the impact of bug application is known as severity. It can be a blocker, or a critical, or a major, or minor. Okay, severity, right? So blocker, if the severity of the blocker of a block is blocker, for example, you are not able to move, your application cannot move forward without without moving from that step. Okay, so that has to be fixed immediately to move forward, then you can call it as a blocker. Okay, then a major feature is not working, login to HDFC, amount transfer is not working. Okay, the major flow is not working, login and the sign up itself is not working. Critical, it is a critical, that means that the main function is not working. Major, if a major, which means that the supporting components and modules are not working fine, but test engineer can continue testing. For example, funds transfer is not working in the banking system, right? But you can log in and then see other features, right? So tester can actually move forward, but that is a critical function. Okay, it is not a blocker, right? Priority is important for fixing the bug, so it will have high, medium, low, right? And high is impact the customer application, and it has to be fixed first. Medium, in this, the problem should be fixed before the release of the current version of the document. Low, it should be fixed if there is a time, but it can be determined when the next release comes. Okay, so that is how you can actually log in the uh, priorities of a particular defect. So what is test environment? So there are multiple test environments. Okay, one is developer environment. Okay, then other one is a test environment. Okay, and then third one is a pre-production or staging environment, and then fourth one is a UAT environment, and fifth one is production environment. Okay, these are the usually the environments where you actually have. What you actually need to for the developer, the architecture will be a minimal architecture, but for the system testing, it will be a one level up of the testing environment. And then when it goes to the QA environment, then it should be similar to the production environment, and then staging will be pre-production, where you want to actually deploy to the staging, and then see that all the applications are working as expected. Then staging certification will be taken, and then will be taken it forward to the next level of production deployment. Okay, so that is actually the servers what we actually uh, so that is how test server, and then QA, and then right, dev environment to the QA environment, QA environment to the test server to the staging environment, and staging environment to the production server. Okay, so that is how, okay, it will be done. uh, Test environment and production server environment should be same, so that there will not be any surprises when testing is completed, and then when we deploy to the server, and then we get the surprises that this particular component is not there, that component is not there, this is not working, that is not working, right? So it should be in that mode. Okay, so that is actually on the uh, test case development. Okay, um, where are we actually? Test case development and test management, and then the next one is a defect management process. So in the defect management process, what we have discussed, there are softwares available, right? Where or the Excel sheet. Okay, we have to maintain that Excel sheet properly, and then track it with the entire team. Otherwise, we have to create that process, and then create the fields. Okay, for example, defect prevention, deliverables baseline, defect discovery, defect resolution. Okay, and then process improvement, and management reporting. So this is the defect management process. So defect prevention, deliverables, baselines. So what you need to see, what you need to see, the the defects, okay, which are actually going into the or the server. You need to baseline, and then use that version control system to ensure that a proper version is going into the test environment. Okay, whatever we have developed, and then whatever we have baselined, and whatever we have tested should always be same. Okay, and it should not be with the different branch. We test in one branch, and then we create another branch, and then don't test it, and then directly give it to the customer for the QA environment. And that is actually not a the right process. Okay, so you go through this one, and then understand the process, and then say, I think I just want to end it here. You come back here, and then go through this process. Okay, so with this one I want to end this tutorial, and I want to conclude the testing my testing tutorial. This is actually for the people who wanted to build their manual testing career, and just want to give you, I started the internship, and if you are interested, send mail to submit@message.com, or LinkedIn in VMR, and direct message to me for the further discussion. And if you like this video, like,